Hey everybody, today we're talking about the ABRSM Grade 1 snare drum solo called Tandem. It's called Tandem because the snare drum is playing with a low tom-tom or a field drum, and I'd like to thank my special guest Rebecca Salabuski for coming in and playing that with me. It's so much more fun to play with other people. That's the whole idea of music, is to get to play music with others. But let's take a look at Tandem, and we'll break it down like we're going to do with all these solos. And the first thing I like to look at is the time signature. Now you'll see in this, it's the first numbers you see, 4, 4. Now the top note tells us how many beats we're playing, and the bottom note tells us what kind of beats we're playing. So as you can see, the top note, 4, will have 4 beats per measure, and the bottom note, 4, a quarter. 1/4, a quarter note. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 quarter notes per measure. The next thing I like to look at is any kind of instruction the composer left us, along with the tempo. And that's typically written just above the first measure. And in this case of Tandem, it says with drive. Okay, so with drive to me says that we're really going to sort of step on the gas. I mean, we've got to stay in tempo, but we need to make it feel like we're pushing somewhere, that we're going somewhere, and that it doesn't sit back and relax too much, all right? The next thing next to it, you see a quarter note equals 100. That's your metronome marking, and that tells you how many beats per minute. That's what you're going to put into your metronome. As you can see, I've got my metronome here, and I've put in 100 beats per minute. So the piece is going to go this fast. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll even count it with drive, or count it like we're moving forward, okay? The next thing I like to do is give a little glance to the dynamics. Now the dynamics we've talked about on the website is the little letters underneath your music that tell you the volume that you're going to play. And as you can see from the very first measure, you have an F, which stands for forte, which means strong, okay? Loud is another way of describing it, but I like to think of other words other than loud and quiet, if we can. So strong, forte. Measure 3 is mezzo forte. So it's just a little bit less, a little bit more relaxed. Now we stay at mezzo forte for a while until measure 7. You're back at forte, and then immediately P. Immediately a piano. We're going to play very quiet, and then suddenly mezzo forte. So there are 3 dynamics in 3 measures, and we need to make sure that we really differentiate those. All right, we're at mezzo forte for the next 4 bars, then we're back to forte. Forte for 4 bars. Now at the end of that bar, which is bar 16, if you look, there's a little 2 little lines that are coming down to a point. That is another way of writing a diminuendo or a decrescendo. Those are 2 words that we use for it. But it means it's getting gradually quieter. So we're going to use all 3 of those notes, da, 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 to reach piano. Piano is what happens in measure 17. So piano, again, we're soft, and then right back at it. There's another little indication after it, 2 little lines going up, getting bigger, which is a crescendo, okay? And that means getting a little bit louder. And we're going to go from piano to mezzo forte in measure 18. And again, end of that measure, we have another crescendo. You see the 2 little lines moving up? We're going to get a little bit louder all the way to forte. We're going to finish, and in the last bar, you'll notice above your notes, the little carrots, looks like little carrots, they're accents, all right? Da, 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 da. All right? So that's a good thing to look at. The other thing that we see in this piece is a flam. We've talked about flams. Flams are in the Rudiments series. If you don't know what a flam is, go check it out. It's number 20 in the Rudiments series. And a flam is basically this concept of, if you can see in measure 6, you have 2 flams. And they're on beats 2 and 3, and they have a little teeny tiny note just before the big note. Now that little teeny tiny note we'll play with our left hand, and it will be very close to the head. And we're going to drop it at the same time that we drop our right hand, which is the main note, and it'll make two sounds. The little left hand is going to hit just before the main note. Garang, garam, falam, falam. All right? Take a look in that rudiment series and we'll go in depth about the flam, but make sure you really differentiate those flams. Now, we're going to have a little play along where I'm going to count with you and help you establish the time and really count the rests. And then we'll also have one play along again with the accompaniment, and I'll count you in and you can play along. Now, if you're a member of the Percussioner, you can download that accompaniment and play along with it yourself, and I really encourage you to do that. I think it's a real good thing to do, to practice playing along with that. But also, get a friend. Get a friend to come play this low tom-tom part, and that is even more fun than playing with a recording. Okay, let's get started. Now, a really exciting part about Tandem is that we're going to count us in to play, and the very first thing we're going to do on the first beat is rest. You'll notice that little note there is an 8th note rest. It takes the place of 2 16th notes, right? We've done subdivision. If you haven't seen the subdivision video, make sure you go check that out. But we have 1 E, we're going to rest, and then we're going to play end of 2. So it's 1, end of 2, and 3, end of 4, okay? As always, I'm going to count aloud. I encourage you to count aloud. I think it's so important to count along and really internalize that pulse. It's really going to help us. And remember, we're going to do this with drive. Now, I'm going to play with my snares off just for the miking purposes and for me to be able to talk over it. But feel free to play with your snares on and practice that as well. I just do it for my ears as well. Here we go. This is Tandem. Quarter note equals 100. 1, 2, 1 and 2 and ready, play, rest, rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, flam, flam, rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 2, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Accent, accent. It's really nice to even come up with a phrase for yourself at the end. Here we are done. Something like that. All right? Great. Now we're going to have one more play along with Rebecca, and we'll count that in and make sure you guys can play along. And as always, as members, you can download the accompaniment to play along with yourself. I think I've already said that, but if I haven't, great. Go do it. Hope you're having fun. Talk to you later. See ya.
1, 2, and 1 and 2 and ready, play.